Okay, this question was asked by one of my students in Microsoft Teams. So let me read the question at first. If fx is equals to 4x minus 7 and gx is equals to 3x minus 5, two functions are given here, are two one-to-one onto functions. That means the inverse of these two functions exist. Though we may not know the inverse, we may not need to know the inverse of both functions here. Let me read it further. And f composite g inverse x is equals to 15. We need to find the inverse of g at first, and the question asks you to find the value of x. Okay, before solving this question, I want to give you some hint over here. You may have confused since there is inverse in the second function. There may be different types of question like this. One of the question is f composite g inverse x. This is exactly the same question that you are asked here. In this case, you need to find the inverse of g only at first, not the inverse of f. At first, find the in this case, let me write stepwise. Step 1, you need to find the inverse of g. Find g inverse, and then in second step you need to find the composite of f and g inverse. Composite of f and g inverse. There may be another type of questions like this: f inverse composite of gx. Okay, in this question you need to find the inverse of f at first. First of all, find f inverse at first, and in step number 2 you need to find the composite of f inverse and g. Okay, and then number 3, there may be another type of question in which you need to find the composite of f inverse and g inverse both. So at first, what you need to find? At first, find f inverse, and in step number 2 you need to find g inverse, and then step number 3 you need to find the composite of f inverse and g inverse. Okay, there is one very important type of questions, the type 4. Let me write this one also. That is f composite of g and then inverse. Be careful here. It is not the inverse of the individual function, it is the inverse of the composite function. So at first you need to find, in this case, at first you need to find composite of f and g at first. Okay, f composite g you need to find at first, and then you need to find the inverse, and then find the inverse of f composite g. Inverse of f composite g. Let me elaborate it with one more example. One example here. If you find f composite g like this, suppose f composite g is equals to 4x plus 3. This is your answer for f composite g. I don't know whether what is the value of f and g, but when you solve this f composite g, you got this value. F composite g is equals to 4x plus 3. So after finding f composite g, you need to find the inverse of f composite g. So let y is equals to f composite g. You need to do this, and then later find the inverse of it. Okay, and then later find the inverse of it. I think you may encounter such questions in your exercise. So let me show you the solution here. This is of type 1 that I discussed here. So at first we need to find the g inverse here, and then the composite. Solution: function fx is given. Fx is equals to 4x minus 7. Gx is equals to 3x minus 5. These two are one-to-one and onto function. It means that the inverse of both functions exist. So we need to find g inverse here at first. Since f composite g inverse is given, f composite g inverse of x is equals to 15 is given here. Let me write it again. Okay, f composite g inverse of x is equals to 15 is given here. So what we need to do at first is we need to find the inverse of g. So how to find that? Number 1, let's find the inverse. The question asks you to find the value of x. So right here x is equals to what? Now let's find the inverse at first. Step number 1, we need to find the inverse. Let me find the inverse at first. To find inverse of g, I'm writing this so that you will be clear what I am doing here. To find inverse of g, that is g inverse x. To find inverse of gx, sorry. To find inverse of gx, let y is equals to gx, then it will be y is equals to 3x minus 5, and interchange the roles of x and y. Interchanging the roles of x and y. Interchanging the roles of x and y. What we get here? X is equals to 3y minus 5, and you need to find the value of y. To find the inverse after interchanging the roles, you will get x plus 5 by 3 is equals to y. I hope you understand this. Y is equals to x plus 5 divided by 3. This is the value of y. So in particular, this is the inverse of g. Therefore g inverse of x is equals to x plus 5 divided by 3. This is your inverse function. And in second step, we need to find the composite of f and g. F and g inverse, sorry. We need to find the composite of f and g inverse and equate the value that is given here. That is 15 is given here. We need to find f composite g inverse at first and equate the value, and you will get the solution. Now number 2, in step number 2, we are going to find the composite of f and g inverse. To find composite of f composite g inverse x. You may escape this part in your solution, but I am writing this sentence so that you will be clear what I am doing here. To find f composite g inverse x, now this g inverse x is one function for us. It's nothing more than function like gx. Only g inverse x is given here, so you can treat this as some function here. So f composite g inverse of x is equals to f of g inverse x. Let me replace the value of the function g inverse x. It is given here x plus 5 divided by 3. X plus 5 divided by 3. So to replace this value x plus 5 divided by 3 in f(x), let me show you here. Let me demonstrate it here. Since what is given f(x), the value of f(x) is given as 4x minus 7. f(x) is equals to 4x minus 7, since f(x) is equals to 4x minus 7. Now you need to find f of x plus 5 by 3. F of x plus 5 by 3. To find this f of x plus 5 by 3, what you need to do here is you need to simply replace this value of x by x plus 5 by 3. And then if you replace this value, if you substitute this value x with x plus 5 by 3, then you need to replace this value also on the right side with x plus 5 by 3. So it will be something like this: 4 times in this x, I am going to replace this x plus 5 by 3. It will be x plus 5 by 3 minus 7, and let's simplify it further. You will get 4x plus 4 5s are 20 divided by 3 minus 7, and then 4x plus 20 minus 21 divided by 3. It is equals to 4x minus 1 divided by 3. Okay. Now we got the value of f composite g inverse x. F composite g inverse x is given. So let's equate the value. What is given here? F composite g inverse of x is equals to 15. F composite g inverse of x is equals to 15 is given here. We have got the value f composite g inverse x. So let's equate this. You will get the required value of x. Now let me do it in step number 3. since f composite g inverse x is equals to f composite g inverse x is equals to what is given there, maybe 5. F composite g inverse x is equals to 15. F composite g inverse x is equals to 15. So let's replace here. F composite g inverse is equals to 15, and we have got the value of f composite g inverse x, that is 4x minus 1 by 3 equals to 15. Simplify it further, you will get 4x minus 1 is equals to 15 times 3 is 45, and then it will be 4x is equals to 45 plus 1, 4x is equals to 46, x is equals to 46 by 4. Let's simplify it further. 2 2 is 4, 2 3 is 6, and 2 2 is, so it will be the value of x, that is the solution of equation x is equals to 23 by 2. At last write the conclusion, therefore the value of x is 23 by 2. Therefore the value of x is 23 by 2. This is your solution of the question. I hope you understand this. If you have any problem, then you can ask me in Microsoft Teams. Thank you, dear student.